So I'm Dr. Rory Gibbons. Most people can hear me here. So I'm just going to keep rolling. This is great. So I'm just looking at the webinar chat right now. So this is not the place to put your questions. So please put your questions in the Q&A box. We have someone from the CanPrev team helping us tonight, answering questions, and then I'll answer some questions at the end that are a little bit more specific, and that if they need me. So welcome to Natural Solutions for Stress and Sleep Relief. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. We are recording this webinar so you can go back and look at it for your reference if you're like, what did he say about that thing? Or if you just want to hear me again. For those of you that are, and that goes for those of you that are doing the dishes or putting the kids to bed while listening to this webinar, you can always go back and listen. So a big thank you tonight for CanPrev and Healthy Planet for sponsoring this event, and for asking me to speak on this topic, which is really near and dear to my heart. I see a lot of patients that are dealing with stress-related problems, which is basically everybody, and people that are really have terrible sleep. So we're going to talk about what we can do about that. One lucky winner will be pulled at the end of the webinar and be contacted by the Healthy Planet team. And so look out for that email. It's a rad package of supplements right here. We're going to talk about most of these ingredients here, plus a couple more. So just another introduction to myself. I'm Dr. Rory Gibbons. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor out in British Columbia here. I have two little guys that are they are running around upstairs at the moment. I'm just in my basement office here. They are running around. It's like pre-dinner time, witching hour style. So they are running around, but don't worry, someone's up there helping them if they need it. I have a high interest in functional nutrition and how micronutrients affect the biochemistry in our body. It makes sense to me. Like I get it. You take a magnesium and it works in this pathway in the body. I like that. Patients really like that too. I'm a speaker here because here I am, author, husband, father, cyclist. I like being outside, especially in the winter months. Actually, I like to bundle up and go for a bike ride and get into the woods and go for snowshoes and things like that. I love cooking at home, and we're coming into the Christmas season, which also is the Star Wars season, and which always gets me excited. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about where we live here. So I just want to acknowledge that I'm presenting to you today from my home on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. And so I'd encourage everyone to actually learn about the land they live on. And I learned this on the app called Whose Land. So check it out. Let's talk about stress. So stress, oh man, this is an overused word in the last 3 months, 3 years, my goodness. It is a hot topic. I changed this to a hot topic this past year to a hot topic because it's always a hot topic. Stress has been a really hot topic given our pandemic and its effect on our mental health, economy, relationships, and schools. Okay, rates of addictions, overdose, anxiety, depression, and metabolic dysfunction has increased, and a large part has been due to the stress of adapting. That's a Debbie Downer fact to start on, but don't worry, it gets better. So let's break down what stress is. Okay, so stress is how the brain and body respond to any demand. Okay, any type of challenge, such as performance at work or school, significant life change, traumatic event, can be stressful. Okay, stress puts us into a state of nervous functioning called sympathetic, or commonly known as fight or flight. We are going to touch a little bit on this on the next page. There's also eustress versus distress. So eustress is a good stress. It's not all stress isn't bad. It's a stress that is positive, motivating, and enhances functioning. Okay, so it's usually not considered a stress, but it's sometimes labeled as incentive or motivation. So excess exercise could also be considered a eustress, unless you see it as a punishment. Usually in this situation, the energy provided from the stress is proportionate to what is needed in the situation. While in the opposite, in distress, the energy is excessive or unusable. Okay, distress. Let's talk about that. These are the stresses that tend to stress people out. Okay. The stress tends to cause people to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and to experience physical and psychological symptoms like headaches, tension, insomnia. We're going to talk about tonight, inattentiveness, or irritability. Anyone feel like this? I feel like this sometimes. I'll be honest with you. Some people, I see people raising hands. Yeah, absolutely. So to reiterate, in distress, the energy is excessive or unusable in the situation. Let's break stress down even more. So macro stresses, toxic work environments, toxic relationships, stressful community, things that you're exposed to that are really in your face every single day. Micro stresses, so smaller ones, but they all add up. So they're tiny little assaults throughout our day. Someone not showing up on time, the coffee pot not turning on, partner not doing something that you told them to do, coming home to a messy house. Those things just add up, and then bam, you have like a fight or flight response, which is not positive. The straw that breaks camel's back is kind of a summary of that. Here's a stat from fall 2020 to spring 2021, which is a span of 6 months. Adults aged 25 to 64 screening positive for at least one disorder, anxiety, depression, increased by 27%. So this is a relative risk. So it went up by about 3% for anxiety and 3% in depression. 3% in depression and 5% in anxiety. Okay. So when you extrapolate that over a population, that's thousands of people that were diagnosed with at least one mental disorder, which is shocking. It's just shocking. And it's a testament to our climate and how we have been taught to deal with stress. Stress hormones, let's talk about those for a second. So fight or flight versus rest and digest. So fight or flight is specifically cortisol and epinephrine. Okay, we can't label hormones as good and bad. Okay, let's just keep those to the side. Let's just keep what we label them to the side. They are hormones that are doing things. Okay, so we can't label them as good or bad. So that being said, though, cortisol is often referred to as bad. It's only bad if it's hanging around in higher than normal amounts for long term. All right. So when this happens, it does have the ability to break down tissue, and it can be used in certain situations to control inflammation, such as cortisone shots, which work really well in calming inflammation down and getting people out of pain cycles. Okay. There are some situations where we don't want to have cortisone shots, but for the most part, like they can be really life-changing. I also want to bring up the HPA axis. Okay. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Okay. So this is the hormonal pathway that activates cortisol released from the adrenal glands. All right. It's actually not a part of the nervous system, but I bring this up because we will be talking about nutrients and herbs that support the adrenal system and the nervous system. So this is two things here I'm talking about. One is a hormonal cascade and one is a nervous system cascade. Short-term versus long-term stresses. So humans are beautifully designed to handle short bouts of stress by releasing cortisol and epinephrine. And when it's over, hormones come down, right? But really, we struggle with managing chronic and repetitive stress, right? It's like we are trying to patch up the damage, but more is happening at the same time. It's just like a vicious cycle. Short bouts of acute stress isn't really what we experience now, unfortunately. We experience negative stressors constantly and chronically, and cortisol is secreted at moderate to high amounts for longer than what we are designed to handle. Okay, so the brain then recognizes higher than normal levels of cortisol hanging around, and then the release of other hormones from the brain can be dampened, not at a level of Addison's disease, which is a very serious autoimmune disease. Just want to clarify that. It's not shutting off your adrenal glands, right? It's not shutting off your adrenal glands. It's just changing how it's responding. Let's talk about cortisol and melatonin. All right. So on this topic of cortisol and cortisol rhythms, there is a pattern that causes cortisol to be high in the evening, which leads people to being tired and wired. Okay. Has anyone heard that term before? Tired and wired? At least maybe you haven't heard it, but you're like, man, that's me. I'm tired and wired. Where they have trouble getting to sleep, but they know they are tired. Okay. This is because cortisol is suppressing melatonin release. Okay, you can think of melatonin as being kind of shy around cortisol, and this is contributing to sleep onset latency. Okay, they actually act in opposite fashions, cortisol and melatonin. So when one hormone is high in the body, the other is low. So keep this in mind when we talk about the new sleep products at the end. I love this picture here. So this kind of summarizes where the hormones act and where the hormones come from. Okay, so the stressor happens. We talked about this hormonal cascade here, which is not a nervous system cascade. And we have a nervous system cascade, which is not a hormonal cascade. Okay, so this is where cortisol and this is where cortisol lives, and this is where epinephrine lives. Okay, they both do similar things, but they just come from different areas. So stress kind of makes everything worse, right? We kind of agree with that. But here are some words that we could probably relate to when we've been head down in our pile of stress and haven't addressed the chronic stress or had an opportunity to go on holiday. Okay, irritable, mad, frustrated, nervous, pissed off, depressed, apathetic, lonely, explosive, aggressive, impatient, annoyed. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. Like, anybody feel like that? Yep, for sure. See people raising hands. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Oh man. On that note, Christmas is coming. That's the most relaxing time of year, right? Closer look on how stress affects the body. All right. So in order to address the emotions and or sleep patterns that come from being chronically stressed, it's very helpful to understand where they come from. Okay. So as you can see by this very simple mind map, this is very simplified. Negative stress has a very holistic impact on our lives, including our mental and emotional well-being. This is why every one of my patients is asked about stress. It is such a player in our physiological issues, and often it evokes cyclical patterns. All right, example of a cyclical pattern, gut issues. Okay, let's go to down here. All right, stress makes you have altered bowels. Okay, altered bowels, like diarrhea, constipation, make you nervous to attend certain events, which invokes a feeling of anxiety, which contributes to your overall stress. So vicious, uncomfortable cycle in some people. An example of a cyclical pattern for sleep issues, stress might make melatonin levels lower in the evening because stress causes cortisol release, and we know that acts opposite, right? Melatonin goes down, dampens your sleep drive, therefore making it harder for you to fall asleep, which in the end makes you more tired, which then makes you more irritated, more anxious, and more tired. Super lame. So let's get that in order. So as we can see by this map, again, it is a holistic beast that we are dealing with. So here are some things you can do right away to start mitigating this stress. Just going to double check the chat just to make sure everything's good. Yep, we are good. So let's talk about lifestyle additions. Okay, guys, like making lifestyle modifications and dietary modifications is like better than any supplement, right? So we need to hone these skills and lay the foundations. When you do that, the supplements will even work better. So here's some suggestions. Nature time. There is plenty of scientific data out there to support the ancient art of Shinrin Yoku. There's a couple books out there that talk about this, and it's awesome. Spending time amongst trees, grass, shrubbery, streams has shown to improve blood pressure, cortisol levels, anxiety, and feelings of sadness. Okay, it's very simple. Go outside and into a wooded area or into some sort of park. Yeah, I know it's cold right now, but it still works when you get outside, even though it's cold. Bundle up. Breathing. When we take part in breathing techniques, we activate something called the vagus nerve, which automatically starts pulling us out of a sympathetic state and into a parasympathetic state, or a more restful state. Sometimes we just need to take a moment and allow our lungs to do the job. So when you're breathing in, doing breathing exercises, breathe into the belly button. Okay, so breathe in, and you should feel your stomach come out of the body, not come in. When it comes in, you're breathing into your chest. I want you to breathe deep and into your belly. It's a very underrated stress relieving technique. My son is 4 and he goes to an outdoor school and they teach them some breathing techniques. It's amazing. He comes home when he gets frustrated, he's in the corner, he goes, and it works and he loves it. Physical activity. Notice I didn't say go work out. Okay, so working out at a gym or home can be daunting to many people. And if you feel like your current level of physical activity is low, then it's time to get out and go for a walk. Time to start adopting the 10-minute walk rule. However, I know we are coming into wintertime and it's cold, especially in Ontario. There's lots of other things that you can do. I have the Peloton app at home. I don't have the Peloton bike, but I have the app, and it allows me to do workouts at home that are not daunting. 10-minute yoga sessions, 20-minute yoga sessions. There are some like really low intensity spin exercises, low intensity strength training stuff you can do inside, and someone is walking you through it, which is really great. Strength training, like I just mentioned, is an excellent way to improve stress levels. Okay, so if you want to take that up, I highly recommend a good personal trainer to help you start that journey. Someone to get eyes on you, see how you move, and give you some things to do that is safe. Digital data intake and screen time. So there's an infinite scroll of information that spans from positive to very controversial and hateful stuff online. It's very easy to get caught up in this social media frenzy, especially now. I have certainly been suggesting my patients and friends and family to try to unfollow people on social media when they feel triggered in a negative way. In some cases, delete the apps off their phone completely. Just say goodbye to Facebook, say goodbye to Instagram for a month, and it will change your life. I listened to a podcast today, and one of the people explained screen world. They're like, that's what I call going into the screen world. So anything to do with the screen, they just wait until noon and then they access their email and social media and stuff like that and change their life. And so I think I might actually try to do that. Don't get me wrong though. Okay, it's important to pay attention to certain updates in your area, but try to limit the destructive noise that is in your digital space. Okay, so if you reduce the digital data intake, then you automatically reduce the screen time. Okay, so there is a lot of research out there that looks at light, sleep, cortisol, and melatonin, and it all points to use less artificial light. Okay, there's even research that suggests that being exposed to light between 11 and 4 a.m. activates an area in the brain associated with disappointment. That's wild. Light between 11 and 4 a.m., 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. activates an area associated with disappointment. Okay, just another reminder of how important sleep is and how much we need to get into bed. Journaling doesn't have to be the stereotypical Instagram image of sit down with a coffee and a plant while diffusing essential oils with no kids around. Okay, that would be lovely, but not always reasonable. Okay, so it can be done in 3 to 5 minutes if time is an issue. And here's some suggestions. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, 1 thing you're excited for today, and 1 thing you're proud of if it's at the end of the day. So 3 things you're grateful for. This doesn't have to be hard. Okay, it doesn't have to be deep. It could be, I'm thankful for my coffee this morning. I'm thankful for my second coffee this morning. Could be 2 things. And then the third thing could be like, I'm thankful for that person that let me into the traffic lineup when no one else was. Right? Simple things like that. Just the act of saying those things can really bring your mood up. Intentional thinking. I like to use this instead of meditation, this word instead of the word meditation. Okay, it's a different way of approaching meditation. The simple act of thinking about a breath in versus breath out automatically activates the vagus nerve, which is the rest and digest nerve. And as we learned earlier, this is the pathway to restfulness. Okay. Talk to a friend. Reach out to someone who is open-minded and has proven to be a good listener in the past. Chances are they could benefit from some honest chats too. Just saying things out loud that you feel that you shouldn't can be very therapeutic. So if you're struggling to think of someone, there are always counselors that are trained listeners and can help you get through difficult times and emotions. Definitely recommend counselors. I see one regularly myself, and it has been so life-changing in the last 5 years. Do something that brings you joy. So it sounds so corny, but I know, but it's so true. Like, this doesn't mean do something that the internet says should bring you joy. It's usually something that you did as a kid or a young adult. Let's talk about some simple dietary stuff you can do right away. Man, if people ate less sugar and were less stressed out, the world would be a different place. So sugar, for a lot of us, we crave sugar when things get tough, and it enters into our diet with an absolute vengeance, like binging. When we consume sugar in our diet in a large amount, we alter our ability to deal with it. Okay. And this can create mood shifts depending on how well we metabolize that sugar. Okay. So high sugar or low sugar can exacerbate mood disorders. So if we can eat in a way that levels our blood sugar out, we would be much better off. So sugar solutions. Start decreasing the existing sugar in your diet. Okay. This is like the refined stuff and the ultra refined sugar. So things like added sugar in the coffee. Okay. The hidden cookies in your cupboard, or the bag of candy in your car, or the office desk that like no one knows about. If you don't buy it, you don't eat it. So stay to the outside of the grocery store. Stay to the outside of the grocery store. That's always a great start. Here's a shocking fact, okay? So canned beverages, canned soda. Oh my gosh, this stuff is not good at all. So 1 sugar cube is 4 grams of sugar. Okay, 1 sugar cube. Everyone knows what a sugar cube is. 1 can of Coca-Cola has 39 grams of sugar in it. Okay, so if you do the math, that's 10 sugar cubes. So think about your cup or your can and put 10 sugar cubes in it. Like, would you ever do that to anything? Probably not. Like, it's already in there. And so some people are like, oh, well, that's okay. I take the Coke Zero, but it's sweetened still with something else called aspartame. And that's not the best either. Lots of other solutions there. Caffeine, pretty simple here. Caffeine, as we all know, is a stimulant. But if you're someone who is more on the anxious side, this may push you a little further into anxious feelings. Okay. So solutions here: start having half decaf or decaf in the afternoon if you're a coffee drinker. Okay. So, or replace one of your coffees with green tea and then herbal tea. Okay. So make water your first drink in the morning. That's a great start. And it might be hard to get used to, but just pour yourself a glass the night before and put it next to the coffee machine. Or just put your cup next to the coffee machine and get like some fresh water. That's probably a better solution, honestly. I rarely tell people to give up coffee, but I do tell people to reduce the amount of coffee that they are consuming. Okay, North America, we're coffee fiends over here. I don't know what the deal. I think it's the bigger coffee chains that have really changed the way we consume coffee. If you went to France or Italy and said, "Hey, I'll have a Trenta 4-shot Americano," they'll be like, "What is that?" Like, that's not a thing. It's smaller, better coffee. That's what I want you to do. Comfort food. I love comfort food. The first thing that comes to mind is burger and fries. The thing with comfort food is that it usually is carbohydrate dominant in nature. So I'm not saying like don't have this ever, but think about how you feel afterwards. Most likely you're going to feel lethargic, heavy, full, bloated, and you don't want to leave the couch, right? I don't think anyone has that meal and reports feeling of elation, energy, uplifting mood, and motivation. And lastly, hydration. I mean, lastly, but not, there's so many other things that we can do dietarily, but hydration, this one ties into energy very tightly. So water has a major role in many chemical reactions in our body, especially in our energy producing pathways. Being hydrated helps move digestion along, helps the blood flush out metabolites from organs, lymphatics, and muscles. There isn't enough time in the day to talk about how important drinking water is. And a cup of coffee, I used to say a cup of coffee didn't count as water, but there are some research that I came across lately that says that you need a certain amount for it to start acting like a diuretic. So 1 cup of coffee, how much of a diuretic effect is it going to have? I don't know. Before we get into the products, I just wanted to bring up one other thing that I didn't touch on tonight, and it was the microbiome and mood. And if you are someone that has some low mood or like depression or anxiety, and you have some digestive concerns or if you have skin concerns, we need to look at the gut as well. Okay. So the best person to help you through that would be a naturopathic doctor. Okay. The microbiome is an amazing place, and the nervous system that surrounds the microbiome and the digestive system produces the hormones and the neurotransmitters for mood. So I think it's kind of an important place to look. Anywho, let's move on. Let's talk about some awesome products. Whenever I'm tasked with talking to an audience about a topic, I usually look at the situation the way I look at a patient. Okay, so every situation is unique, and there's usually never one thing that is causing the concern. So more often than not, the situation needs a holistic approach in order to see long-term improvement. So this is what I appreciate about these products I'm going to talk about tonight. The combination of the ingredients in them are used to target specific pathways to achieve success. Okay, remember when I talked about like biochemistry and how the nutrients go into the biochemistry, oh my God, my biochemical pathways? This is why I like these products, because I know this is how they work and they affect your body. Adrenal Chill. Man, okay, so Adrenal Chill and Adrenal Pro, I'm going to talk about in a moment, both contain herbs that are considered adaptogens. So this may be a new word to many of you, but I will explain. An adaptogen is something that provides a normalizing effect. So in other words, it is something that provides the body what it needs in order to combat any sort of stressor without causing much of a shift in normal functioning. Okay, so Adrenal Chill is made up of just two ingredients, very simple, ashwagandha and L-theanine. So let's talk about ashwagandha first. So ashwagandha, an excellent example of an adaptogen. It normalizes daily cortisol release. So high in the morning, low in the evening. This is a bar graph or a line graph. High in the morning, low in the evening. We suspect that a constituent of the plant itself is mimicking one of the body's own stress-reducing relaxation hormones, which reduces cortisol. So this ashwagandha use is called KSM-66. It's a very well-researched type of ashwagandha and is shown to really benefit people who have symptoms of higher than normal daily cortisol. So some of you might be thinking like, what? There's other types of ashwagandha. I thought it was just one plant. Well, yes, it is a species of plant, but there are different strains and different types of ashwagandha that have been modified in order to get certain effects. And the KSM-66 is a very well-researched one. It's taken over 14 years to develop and refine it. This is some promising research on it. It's grown and harvested in India by what is called a farm-to-table integration. So the people own the farm and the production. Very common in Ayurvedic medicine to see ashwagandha. Here's some results from studies. So in one study, there was a 22% drop in serum cortisol after only 8 weeks. That's just 2 bottles, 2 months, right? It helps to preserve vitamin C in the adrenal glands. So when we are chronically stressed, our adrenal glands dump out the vitamin C to allow our white blood cells to work. So we need to preserve the vitamin C to not dump it, to just kind of release it at normal amounts. It reduces subjective measures of stress by 33%. A study on anxiety showed about an 88% reduction in anxiety symptoms versus 50% in the placebo. That's pretty profound from a herb. Also, sleep. Ashwagandha has shown improvement in sleep quality over 8 weeks, and we know that sleep has been proven to reduce anxiety and stress. So, reduce the anxiety and stress, sleep will naturally improve. Most likely due to the cortisol release modification from ashwagandha. Let's talk about L-theanine. Oh man, L-theanine. I wish I'd learned about L-theanine earlier in my life as a younger adult going through university. So L-theanine is an amino acid that is used to induce calm and mental clarity without making you feel sleepy. Think of it as a restful wakefulness. By itself, it's a great nutrient for calming the brain down and providing some thought clarity before activities that require mental work, like presentations or exams, or what I'm doing right now, webinars, or hard conversations with employers or with clients or business meetings. So this is a really fast-acting one. So 30 to 60 minutes, you take it and it'll work. You'll start feeling the effects within 30 to 60 minutes. So on that note, you can use this product short-term and long-term, or as needed. So what does it do? It gets absorbed into the bloodstream and crosses the blood-brain barrier and puts our brain into a more alpha wave state. So alpha waves are more associated with a calm nervous system, one that is more rest and digest dominant versus fight or flight. So you could consider the action of L-theanine as a restful wakefulness, which I just mentioned a moment ago. Let's think about that word first for that term, restful wakefulness. Man, that sounds good. Maybe to give you an example would be the state of someone would be in during a meditation session. Okay, so you're calm, your mind is calm, but you aren't falling asleep. It also increases dopamine and GABA activity in the brain. And when this happens, people feel less fear and stress. L-theanine can also be taken on its own, but I often see people needing an adrenal support and L-theanine together. It's that like rest, or it's like that tired and wired feeling. So the L-theanine kind of like brings the immediate nervous system down, and then the ashwagandha helps long term to modify that cortisol release. Common question with this one: can I take this before bed? Yeah, for sure. You can take this before bed. It's not going to keep you up. Let's talk about Adrenal Pro. So a little bit different formulation here, and it's targeted to a different person. So this is for someone who is chronically tired and needs a mental pickup. Okay, so I first learned this one when I was a young naturopathic student, when I was going super hard right out of the gate on first year. And then I started getting really tired and just mental clarity started going down. That's when I learned actually about CanPrev. So great combo, 8 ingredients that address both the HPA axis and the central nervous system. So remember those, throwback to that one slide with the 2 pathways, HPA axis and the nervous system. When we take this combo, we can expect to experience the following things: increased energy, sweet, reduction in stress and fatigue, improved sleep, enhanced sense of well-being, improvement in emotional well-being, okay, less anxiety if anxious, more happiness if depressed. I love this type of product because it just hits pathways from many different angles. L-tyrosine, sometimes referred to as the stress amino acid, because dopamine and epinephrine are literally come from this amino acid. We need those things. Those are hormones that we need to in order to have a decent mood. If this amino acid is not present, production of those critical stress hormones will be very limited. It also makes thyroid hormone, which is wonderful. Vitamin B5, that's a good one. It's found everywhere in the body. It's crucial in adrenal function because when people have a B5 deficiency, we see a compromise of adrenal cortex function. And when deficiency is corrected, we see an improvement. So it's very cut and dry there. And of course, it has KSM-66. It has Siberian ginseng in there, and it acts to reduce fatigue, improve balance, improve endurance, and combat stress. So fun fact, back in the 1970s, this herb was heavily utilized by Olympic athletes, especially Russian ones, because of its physical effect. But then later, it made its way into the Russian cosmonaut program because of its effect on focus and mental clarity as well. That's pretty profound. Now, Schizandra is a very cool herb with a very cool name. And interestingly enough, if you eat one, which I have in school, it will contain all 5 flavors: bitter, sweet, acrid, sour, and salty, which is interesting because it correlates very well to the elements of traditional Chinese medicine. That's a whole nother conversation. Because of this, it is considered a harmonizing tonic. So at the end of the day, this little berry gives us the feeling of energy. Okay. Last couple ones here, rhodiola. I just don't like leaving these ones out. Rhodiola, super cool. It actually is the fastest acting adaptogen, and we can see improvements in burnout and fatigue often within a week. Also has some properties that will act similar to antidepressants with a safer side effect profile. That's crazy. I love the addition of astragalus here. I usually think of astragalus as a deep immune herb in that it stimulates white blood cell production at the level of the bone marrow. Okay, so I like this herb in this combo because this stress often takes a toll on the immune system. So in other words, it dampens the response. And lastly, B6 is in there. It fits in the central nervous system rather than the HPA axis. Specifically, it makes epinephrine and norepinephrine. It's one of these cofactors that I guess it's a cofactor that helps make these hormones, epinephrine and epinephrine. It doesn't just help the fight or flight response, it also helps GABA, serotonin, and dopamine do their job. How do you take it? 1 cap twice a day. I usually tell people, like, maybe don't take this after 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, because there is, Siberian ginseng can be stimulating. So far, I haven't had any problem with it though. Synergy B. All right, as we talked about, earlier about adrenal chill, we know that L-theanine works to put our brain into a calmer state. Okay, so that's one of the first ones there. B vitamins, man, they're rad. I recommend these to almost everybody. B vitamins all work together as cofactors in biochemical reactions to create energy. So I remember actually the moment that biochemistry and nutrition really clicked for me. And so someone showed me a complicated diagram of molecules and enzymatic reactions. Instead of saying this is converted to this with the help of NADH, they said this is converted to this with the help of vitamin B3. And I was like, suddenly it all makes sense. And that was just the beginning of my interest in functional nutrition. B vitamins are water soluble, so they do need to be replaced daily. Okay, so you certainly get these vitamins in the diet, but we need to keep in mind that often vegetables and fruits that we eat are not what they used to be due to farming practices and processing of food. So every time a food goes through a process, we lose some nutrition, and to add, they are being grown in nutrient depleted soil. Okay, so and to add more, we are stressed out, so we are using B vitamins up at higher rates than ever before. This is why I recommend B vitamins to basically everyone. That's a huge reason why B complex and B vitamins are a common component of most nutrient IV infusions. Take these with food, please. Empty stomach there can be some nausea and discomfort there. Magnesium. Oh man, I love speaking about magnesium because it's one of those minerals that is cheap, effective, hits a lot of angles for patients, and people generally see a difference usually quite quickly. And to add, it's a very safe mineral to use with patients. We know that it has over 800 different roles. And not all magnesium supplements are created equal, however. And there's plenty of research to show that they all do different things. So this is a nice little bar graph right here. As we can see, this magnesium bisglycinate, chelate, and magnesium buffered magnesium bisglycinate, these ones are showing total magnesium transported across the lumen of the small intestine. Okay, so 25 millimoles transported across versus magnesium oxide, which is 7.61 millimoles of magnesium. And so why am I bringing up magnesium oxide versus bisglycinate? Magnesium oxide, we know this one from milk of magnesia. Okay, so that's like, oh yeah, okay, that's the one that is the laxative, right? So it's a laxative because it's not being absorbed. The water is coming into the digestive system, making the stool soft, and you can pass it. Magnesium bisglycinate is really interesting because if you have this at a high dose, yeah, the same similar things will happen, but this has a higher rate of absorption. Therefore, it goes into the body, goes to where it needs to go, but it also helps to relax the colon and the small intestine. Okay, so those areas, those organs are muscles. So if you have a constipation type picture where it's muscular in nature, then magnesium could be very, very helpful for you. Let's talk about magnesium a little bit more here. So we got the magnesium bisglycinate 200 gentle. So you see these symptoms here: inability to sleep, headaches, constipation, feelings of nervousness, heart palpitations, restless legs, muscle tension, chronic pain. So every single one of these symptoms can come from chronic stress. And I've seen it in both myself, but in most of my patients. So when I give them magnesium bisglycinate, they almost always have a reduction in at least one of these symptoms. And I'm thinking, I think I'm speaking conservatively when I say that. So I'd put money on it that most people here have experienced one or more of these symptoms in the last week. And this is why almost all of my patients go on magnesium bisglycinate, and usually this one, magnesium bisglycinate 200 milligrams. Delivers 200 milligrams of elemental magnesium. There's some other magnesium products that CanPrep has a little bit less. So 140 milligram dose and 80 milligram dose. And these ones are actually maybe a little gentler on the gut. but I've had really great results with the 200. Great thing about magnesium that it will go where it's needed, and you can't overdose on it if you take it orally. The overdose feeling will be just diarrhea. The body has a checkpoint on that, and where it stops absorbing magnesium and it just gets excreted through the bowels. So all in all, probably my favorite mineral, and I take it every day, usually at nighttime, because it just helps me sleep deeper. Go to magnesium.ca. That is CanPrev's website on magnesium. There's amazing resources there. Let's talk about Healthy Mood. I love this one. This is so cool. Saffron. Healthy Mood is jam-packed with a little capsule, and basically everything in it I've talked about already, besides saffron. So what a beautiful ingredient in this product. See this red stuff down here? This is the saffron stigmas. Okay, that is where the special ingredients come from. It just looks powerful. So saffron is certainly the main ingredient in this product, but other ingredients like 5-HTP, GABA, and magnesium and B vitamins, they work to have a harmonizing effect on mood via a few different pathways. Okay, but let's talk about saffron first here. The part that is used is called the stigma, and it's the red bits. The saffron we use is top notch. And in the world of saffron grading, the one that is used in this product is the highest grade, and it's called Sargol grade. That's right. There is a grading system for saffron stigmas. And I didn't know that existed until I learned about this product. So it's extremely rich in metabolites, and you kind of like make sense because it's such a beautiful dark red color. So saffron grown in Iran has the richest stigmas compared to other saffrons grown in other areas of the world. And this is where we get ours. The history of use of this herb dates back 3,000 plus years ago, mainly as a food colorant and additive, but also traditionally in Persian and Indian Ayurveda for its calming, hypnotic, and antidepressive and anti-anxiety properties. Well, on that note, it's used traditionally, but supported by modern trials. So the attention that saffron gets is in people that have mild to moderate depression. Okay. You want to keep that in mind, not major depression, but mild to moderate depression. Clinical trials have shown that saffron has been shown to be as effective as some leading pharmaceuticals in its class, namely imipramine and fluoxetine for mild depression. Okay. Noticeable results happen after 1 week, but main results happen around 6 weeks. And for stress and anxiety, saffron works at dampening the effect of cortisol and mitigating the long-term effects of chronic stress. That's really impressive. Like, those are big things for a plant to do. So for depression and mood, they have similar actions as some antidepressants in that they work to augment the effect of serotonin. Okay, so sometimes SSRIs, so selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, those are allowing serotonin to do their job more and more and more over and over and over again. It kind of works like that. So it also maintains dopamine levels and helps promote GABA action in the brain. So we can see how it improves mood in a couple different angles here. All right, we've talked about stress and mood a bunch here. Let's talk about insomnia. So what does insomnia actually mean? So one resource that I was looking at said it defines it as difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep for at least 3 nights per week. Chronic insomnia occurs when you have trouble getting to sleep and or staying asleep 3 nights per week for 3 months or longer. So it looks like the rule of 3. Here's a stat. Around 70 million Americans have a sleep disorder, with insomnia being the most common. So 30% of those 70 million experience short-term insomnia, and 10% have long-lasting insomnia. 40% of people report accidentally falling asleep during the day. 40%. That's almost every second person. So we've all heard of insomnia, and let's talk about identifying the triggers. Okay. Sometimes doing a sleep diary is a great way in identifying the triggers. You may even be consuming something that lights up your nervous system that you don't even think about. I've actually found that 2 common triggers that have come up in my insomnia people. I wonder if you guys could guess. I just want you to guess in your heads because we are running shorter on time. So I'm going to just keep going. 1, alcohol, very common and is known to disrupt sleep. We don't, alcohol is actually a class 1 carcinogen as well. And yet we sell it in stores. The other thing, vaping, comes up often in my patients, is they are vaping all day long up until bedtime. And they don't realize that it can contain stimulants, like the stuff they put in it may contain some sort of stimulant. It may not be caffeine, it may not be nicotine, but it could be something else. So both things our body just doesn't need. It could be really messing up the sleep patterns. So, oh man, what does it mean to be sleep deprived? This is awesome. It's awesome because it's relatable to me at the moment. So I'm a new dad. A lot of my patients are new dads. And I think there's probably a lot of parents listening right now too, or parents of older kids that can relate. Excessive daytime sleepiness is a symptom. Daytime impairment, reduced concentration, thinking, mood changes, less physical strength, less ability to fight off infections, tendency to doze off while doing inactive activities, less productive. When I went through this list myself, I was like checking off almost every single one of them lately. I feel like this time change has really messed up a lot of people's sleep schedules with kids. And the one that really rang true to me was tendency to doze off while doing inactive activities. And one that is really common when I'm reading stories to my kids at nighttime. I will suddenly just stop in the middle of a story, middle of a line, and then I'll get this in the face. My son be like, "Hey, Daddy, wake up." Oh man, sorry. So there's sleepy, but then there's sleep deprived. So this is a good list to look at. And if this is something, if any of these symptoms are coming up for you, we need to look at working on your sleep. Sleep hygiene stuff. Okay, we know this. Phones off, out of the bedroom. Okay, blackout blinds, sound machine, or earplugs to keep it quiet. Oops, sorry. Cool room, warm blanket, nighttime routine. Do the same thing every night. Okay, it doesn't mean watch TV every night up until a certain amount of time, but turn the lights off. Brush your teeth. Don't look at your phone. Those kind of things. Just do the same calming ritual every night. Avoid stimulants and large meals. Okay, be consistent with bedtime and activities, and exercise. Just in general, exercise in general helps people sleep. How much sleep is enough? Okay, so different sources say different things, but they all land around the at least 7-hour mark. Okay, so teens should sleep around 8 to 10 hours, elementary school aged around 9 to 12 hours, and preschoolers around 10 to 13 hours. Some people say stuff like, I feel just fine on 5 to 6 hours a night, as they fall asleep in front of me. This may be true, but I would challenge them on things like immunity, mood, stress adaptation, and body composition. So most people could benefit from more sleep. Also, something else I hear is, I sleep really well. I take 15 milligrams of melatonin at night for the past 20 years. So my question is like, why are you taking 15 milligrams of melatonin? Why do you need that? Chronic stress, usually the answer. They're taking melatonin because they can't go to sleep, because they're always thinking about the chronically stressful crap in their life. Sleep restore. Excuse me. It's a really great combo. Helps relieve stress that contributes to sleeplessness, calms nervous system down by increasing the alpha waves. That's the L-theanine in it. Okay, it reduces stress hormones. That's the ashwagandha in it. Improves the duration of sleep and quality of sleep. We know what L-theanine does. Talked about it already. GABA. It's associated with stage 3 sleep, which is the deep unconscious sleep where growth hormone is released. Growth hormone is wonderful, and it's released in everybody when you're sleeping, and it's there to repair from the day's work. Okay, this ashwagandha is a little bit different. It's a sensorial ashwagandha, and instead of the KSM is 66. So instead of melatonin in this formula, which we'll talk about next in the next product, CanPrev uses ashwagandha. Okay, so it's a combination of root and leaf in this one, and traditionally many consider ashwagandha leaf to contain the supportive nutrients. Modern research here shows that it helps you fall asleep fast, spend more time asleep, and experience better quality sleep. So support this sensorial ashwagandha. It also has lemon balm, passion flower, and chamomile. These are herbal nervines, which means that they work to calm the nervous system down and take you out of the fight or flight response and into the rest and digest mode. Just on really quickly on the topic of lemon balm and nervines, my wife sees a lot. She's a naturopathic doctor as well, and she helps women get pregnant. And often she will give a combination of these herbs, and it just helps the nervous system calm down. And then, bam, pregnancy happens. It's wild. Just we need to mitigate it and manage our stress. I've used these a lot in practice for people dealing with hard times, both short and long durations, these herbs. Sleep reset. So let's talk about L-theanine and GABA. Let's not talk about them. We talked about them already. This one has the melatonin in it. So when someone is traveling or coming back from shift work, their body has to reset from the adaptation of the new time zone. So therefore, the melatonin released from the brain can be a bit behind in time. So we can use melatonin to get your circadian rhythm back faster and reduce your nights of crummy sleep. So I like how this is 2 milligrams per cap plus the combo of these other herbs. 2 milligrams, I find is a really like a sweet spot for melatonin. So people feel a difference, but they also don't wake up groggy. This also has lemon balm in it, just like Sleep Restore, but it has skullcap and valerian. So these are herbal nervines as well, but they are more heavy on the nutritive herbal relaxants that will help reduce the effect of stress hormones on your body, but also have shown to have a sedative effect on the body compared to a calming effect like the other ones I just talked about. Sedative effect in this one. Melatonin gets you to sleep. The sedative herbs keep you asleep. And the GABA and L-theanine keep you asleep too. So dose for jet lag, take once a day at bedtime while traveling and at a destination until adapted to the new time zone or the daily pattern. I like these two products here because there are options. Okay, I like that there are options here. It's not, if you don't want to have melatonin, you can have the Sleep Restore, like you're going to get a better sleep. So depending on the cause of the sleep issue, these patients may need more support with stress hormone regulation, or they may need more support with nervous system. So from there, we can just kind of go into the different products. Both of these products are 5-HTP free, okay, which is a common sleep aid, but some people don't do well with them. And some people are on antidepressants, which are contraindicated with this ingredient. So this is really, I like this because I can use this with patients that are already on medication. There's not really any cause of concern in interactions. However, if you are on an SSRI, please consult an naturopathic doctor or your doctor before taking these products. You'd be a great combo right now to get you sleeping is this and magnesium. Man, that would be wicked. So one question that comes up often for me, what are the long-term effects of taking melatonin? Health risks are still uncommon, the health risks are still unknown due to lack of high quality studies, but from what I can see, melatonin doesn't cause any serious problems. However, we should be going to sleep without excess melatonin. But sometimes we need that help. There's some research that suggests that it can increase prolactin levels, which can lead to further issues down the road, but that's higher dose for longer. So my take on supplementation in general is lowest dose needed, plus lifestyle and dietary modifications. It's kind of my go-to. Okay, man, did we ever talk about a lot of great stuff? We talked about stress pathways and states and hormones involved. We connected the dots, looked at stress as a holistic beast. We talked about lifestyle and dietary stuff that you can start right away. And we talked about adaptogens, vitamins, minerals, nervines. Oh, man. Okay. So what are you going to do for yourself tonight? For me, what am I going to do? After my patients tonight, I see them later as well. Remember, I'm in BC, so I'm not seeing patients at like 11. I'm seeing them at like 7. After my patients, I want to go into my garage, put in a podcast about something different than medicine, and then tinker on my bikes. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I know I'm that cool. Sounds divine. So follow us, please. Go follow CanPrev at these social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I do not have the TikTok yet. And you can find me at these places. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well, and online. You can email me if you want it, hello@virtualcollective.com, .ca. And you can any hate mail you can deliver it to hello@virtualhealthcollective.com. Please no hate mail, but feedback is always helpful. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to answer some questions if there are any questions left to answer. I feel like my CanPrev team member here is crushing out the questions right now. If there's any questions, please pop them in the question and answer box, and I'd be happy to take some. Let's try to keep it, stress, mood, and sleep kind of focused. Any questions need to go in the Q&A box. Oriana Nash says, great presentation. Thank you. You are very welcome. Thanks for coming. Nicole says, thank you for this great, so many useful tips and supplements. You're very welcome, Nicole Rizou. Christina Barber says, I suffer from hair loss and have heard that ashwagandha can be bad as it impacts testosterone. That's a really insightful question. So let's talk about what ashwagandha does to testosterone. So ashwagandha in men helps to bring testosterone levels up. That's what the research that I've seen. I don't know what the effect of ashwagandha and testosterone is in women. I don't think it has a bigger effect because your estrogen and progesterone play a larger role in your body than testosterone usually does. If you're dealing with hair loss and testosterone is an issue, then the part of the testosterone that is the issue is not testosterone, it's dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. And in men, this is responsible for hair loss, prostate enlargement, and those are the two things that come to mind. So we have to look at, why do you, as a woman, as a female, have a conversion of testosterone to DHT at a higher level than normal? Okay. So this is something I can't really, and menopausal, you're getting hit on all angles, apparently. So I would say that there are bigger things happening here than ashwagandha affecting testosterone. Okay. If menopause is the stage of life that you're in, we need to be looking at thyroid. Okay. And we also need to be looking at levels of estrogen and progesterone. Like, you can't, like, if those are low, those can lead to hair loss, I believe, and iron. Hair loss is a really interesting beast. So that's kind of what I can say about testosterone and ashwagandha. I don't think that this is a big concern in this situation. I feel like the benefits of taking ashwagandha to mitigate stress outweighs the risk of it increasing testosterone to a level that it will cause hair loss. However, see a naturopathic doctor about that, maybe get some hormones tested. Hopefully that was helpful. Nira says, how much melatonin should we take? How much time before bedtime should we take it? How many hours does it help us sleep for? So, okay. Melatonin is for sleep drive. Okay. It will knock you out. However, it's not there to keep you sleeping. And so, to answer how many hours does it help us sleep for, I don't know. Depends. It depends on the other hormones, or other neurotransmitters like GABA and dopamine. Or sorry, GABA and dopamine in the brain. Look, when I was talking about earlier, take the sleep reset with the melatonin plus magnesium. It'll help your sleep drive, but also help your sleep on your length of your sleep duration. How much should you take? Start low and go slow. Right. I would say in the level of in the world of melatonin dosing, I would start with not melatonin. I would start with things like magnesium. I'd start with things like L-theanine and magnesium, and then go to melatonin. So this one, Sleep Reset, is 2 milligrams. That's a great start. If that is not doing it for you, like try 5. Again, like lifestyle stuff is so much more important than getting those lifestyle things down, like the sleep hygiene stuff that we talked about earlier, cool room, dark room, bedtime routine. That is going to make your melatonin work better. So lower dose principle there. How much time before bedtime should we take it? 30 minutes should be good. Although some people are out in 10. And if you have the one that's like a sublingual one where it gets absorbed into your mucous membrane or underneath your tongue, that should be quicker. Don't pop one on your commute on the way home. What's this one? Gail says, can we get too dependent on melatonin and work as well? Came off tranquilizers and now take magnesium, GABA, melatonin to sleep. So far, I have seen that you cannot get dependent on melatonin. There's no research that supports that. However, I'm not really sure about your situation here. You came off tranquilizers. I don't really know what that means. You take magnesium, GABA, and melatonin to sleep. Sometimes, Gail, I feel like you've watched some other. I feel like I recognize your name there. So if you've seen other presentations, thanks for coming to this one. I feel like sometimes not sleeping is more detrimental than taking something to help you sleep. I can't really comment too much more on that because this is a very situation dependent. But to answer your general question of can we get too dependent on melatonin, you can rely on melatonin. I don't know if dependency is the right word. I don't think your body becomes dependent on it. I think you can become reliant on it if you don't do the other lifestyle stuff. Pasita says, I take Adrenasense and Adrenasmart alternating after burnout from work and different home life. How long do I need to take this? I don't know. I don't know what Adrenasense and Adrenasmart are. You need to talk to someone about that. That's a very specific thing to you, Pasita. Good luck with that one. Janet Pitaro, I have struggled with sleep for many years, but it has become much worse since perimenopause. No trouble getting to sleep, but I awake several times through the night, sometimes briefly over time. Other times during extended period, I always take magnesium. Anything else you would recommend? I recommend if you are since perimenopause, so you're postmenopausal, so progesterone is lower. Okay, estrogen and progesterone are lower, and progesterone is a wonderful hormone that helps with anxiety, helps with sleep, helps with libido, helps with everything. So this is something that you might want to get checked. And there are some things that you can take that help to, bring up progesterone levels or be on bioidentical hormone replacement. So see a naturopathic doctor in your area for that one. Magnesium's good. Said no trouble getting to sleep, but I wake several times through the night. GABA is another good one for you. Magnesium helps GABA work to keep you asleep, but GABA itself can help you stay asleep. Bianca says, I take Tremfya to suppress my immune system because I have psoriasis. I don't know. I can't comment on that one. I'm sorry. I don't know what Tremfya is. I'm going to have to talk to a naturopathic doctor about that. Gail says, what about 10 milligrams of melatonin? I don't believe 10 milligrams is harmful. However, please talk to your naturopathic doctor about this one because I don't know your specific situation. Cindy says, how long before bed should we take magnesium for sleep? Yeah, 40 to 60 minutes-ish, I would say. Do you recommend timed release melatonin for someone like myself who has no problem getting to sleep, but staying asleep is the issue? No, because we want something to keep you asleep. Melatonin helps you get to sleep. Oh, timed release. So then it helps you stay asleep later. I gotcha. No, I would say magnesium and GABA to help you stay asleep. Amy says, if we take the magnesium bisglycinate before bed, can it be taken on an empty stomach or do we have to take it with food? No, the empty stomach's fine. If I want to try one of these, can you recommend your favorite one or the most useful one? Try one. Janine, which one for what? Are you having trouble sleeping, or are you having trouble with stress? Are you having trouble with mood, or what do you want to achieve? That's the question. Mariah says, which supplements would you recommend for chronic insomnia caused by fibro? These ones. These ones, unless you're on some other medication that interacts with it, these ones would be fine, I think. How much magnesium citrate can we take before sleep? How much can your bowels tolerate? So that's a better question. I would take magnesium bisglycinate before. Recommended GABA dose to help stay asleep. Yeah, around 500 milligrams-ish. But depends on who you are. Does CanPrev have a GABA product? If not, what do you think about PharmaGABA? CanPrev has GABA 500, I believe it is. It's 500 milligrams per capsule. It's a great dosage. PharmaGABA is a patented GABA. How much different is it? I don't know. I get results with just not PharmaGABA. All right, we're going to do about 5 more minutes here. Great questions tonight. Thanks for keeping it on track and on topic. If you have any other questions that come up after the webinar tonight, feel free to reach out to the CanPrev team or the Healthy Planet team. Just looking in the webinar chat here. Looks good. Yeah, any questions that come up after the webinar, send to info@canprev.ca or just ask anyone on your what's the on the social platforms. Linda says, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. Very interesting, informative, and useful. You're very welcome. Marie Maxime Bergeron, I've heard that name before too. Irene Marshall, maybe I haven't heard that name before. I don't know. Gail, thank you. All right, well. Oh, one more question. Daniela says, sorry to ask in, but is it okay to take magnesium citrate before bed? Dietitian recommended. Magnesium citrate before bed's fine. Just it's fine. Yeah, for sure. It's safe, no doubt. I use magnesium bisglycinate because it's more well absorbed. That's really it. I use magnesium citrate more for like constipation. Nira says, which is the best medicine to fall asleep and stay asleep? The best medicine to fall asleep and stay asleep. Whenever someone asks this kind of question, I'm thinking, have you done anything else on your own to try? Okay. And so if you have, good. If you have not tried the fundamentals and you're looking for a silver bullet, I would say try the fundamentals first. And then from there, you need to dissect what part of sleep is the problem. Okay. Is it sleep onset where you can't go to sleep, or is it staying asleep? And then from there, you need to determine where you need to go. And sometimes you need help with that. So please contact someone in your area, like a naturopathic doctor. I hope everyone had a wonderful time tonight and learned some stuff. There was about 140 of you tonight listening in. I appreciate your support of naturopathic medicine and alternative sources of medicine. I really appreciate that. And if you want to get in touch with me, just Google my name. I'll probably pop up somewhere. And if you need any other questions, just reach out to CanPrev. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and stop this presentation now. Thank you again. Have a wonderful night and have a good sleep tonight, okay? Try to think about some things that we talked about today to implement to get you into a better sleep. My immediate thought, if you put your phone by your bedstand, put it downstairs in the kitchen, okay? Outside of the room somewhere. That's your challenge. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Bye.